What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web warrior Fanatic, and on this episode, we have the one and only Villain Theory. And if you guys do not know, Villain Theory makes amazing Marvel Champions analysis content. It's really, really cool. I love watching his channel for reviews and deep dives. And one thing that I love the most about his channel is that he counts cards for me. So if there's ever a new hero preview or like an article, he will analyze those little number by the cards, so that he'll know about almost certainty how many cards of the Thor event will be in there, how many copies of this card will be in there, and it's really helpful for me to know how to plan around building that hero for that. So yeah, please, I already introduced you a little bit, but if you have anything else you want to add, and please let the people know where they can find you.
Well, I am your friendly neighborhood villain theory, maybe, and you can find me on YouTube. I've got a podcast on Spotify called Shadow of the Cast that Webwright you have been on as well. So if this isn't enough for you, check it out. But that's about it, I think. Yeah, I make some videos, I talk a lot, and I count stuff.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Vinter, for coming on the channel.
Yeah, exciting to be here. I think this is my first time on your channel.
I think so too. I actually wanted to have people on for a very long time because I feel bad because I'm on a lot of other people's channels, but I wanted to do the same thing, but I just don't have a setup to do two-player games.
Yeah.
But this podcast will be a way for me to be able to do that, hopefully, if I continue it.
Well, I'm here now.
Okay, so I have everything here on my phone, and I have specific things that I want to talk about, and at the end we'll go over some member questions. We have some spicy questions from the members for you later on.
Oh no.
Okay, so this episode is going to be about haters, and I do want to do a disclaimer really quick before we get into it. 99%, and I think Villain Theory would agree with me on this, 99% of the Marvel Champions community is amazing, right? I love the community. I think Villain Theory loves the community. I often say that the Marvel Champions community is the best community in the world. We have the best people in the world, the nicest people, all that stuff. But there is still a dark side, and it's a sliver, a 1% dark side. And before we get into the how the dark side works, I want to define it. So I want to ask you, Villain Theory, what would you define as hate or bullying in terms of the Marvel Champions community? What does that look like? Because a lot of people haven't even I've talked to a lot of people on YouTube, and they're really nice people, and they're I haven't actually experienced hate in Marvel Champions. I think that's awesome that they haven't experienced that, but you and I have experienced a little bit of that. So can you explain what that looks like?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that depending on where you come from and where you interact in Marvel Champions, you will see more or less of it. I think the YouTube community in general is really good. It's one of the reasons I actually moved to YouTube. There's various reasons I started making YouTube videos. No one's quite doing content, quite as analytical as I wanted after Tony left at the time. And I was like, I guess I can do that. A few other factors. But one of it was that I didn't really feel able to engage on Marvel CDB. In a way that I felt welcomed. And that was, it was meant to be a hobby. It's meant to be fun. So I feel like if you are in certain spaces, I know Reddit can have a little negativity too. Most people are amazing. And I actually had some positive interactions there recently. I got a shout out, genuinely 99% plus of people are absolutely incredible. But certain spaces and obviously if you're a content creator or your decks get popular, you have more attention on you. And that is where I think some of it can start to emerge. So to shout out Marvel CDB, which if you don't know, it is a deck building website. I think most of us know it. It's where a lot of people find their decks. But if you, I don't want to call it gatekeeping, but I think there's an element of gatekeeping. Is what I would say. It might be a case of that your deck isn't perfect enough. You shouldn't be allowed to post in this, space that everyone, I think, should be allowed to post in. Or, you might not, if your decks get popular, certain people might not be very happy that your decks are popular. They want their deck to be popular. And that's a little kind of, I feel like I'm slightly rambling here, but hopefully that gives some kind of idea.
Yeah, I feel like you actually, I would agree to pretty much everything you said. I think that's a good summary. This is actually the reason that I wanted to have you on as a guest for this episode, for this topic specifically. I've seen you, this is actually one of my bullet points here. I've seen you mention a few times that on Marvel CDB, some things happened to make you eventually stop posting there, probably because of the gatekeeping thing that you're talking about. Can I ask you what exactly happened?
I'm not. I don't really want to mention names, especially because it's not fair to say name somebody and they're not here to respond. I'm going to be a little bit careful with that. I know you guys are, oh, who is it? What's going on? A lot of the interactions aren't even on Marvel CDB, but they're happening because of Marvel CDB. And I think you have actually suffered some of the same from some of the same people, has been my impression. When I started posting decks, I noticed, suddenly along comes Webworld, his decks are getting some traction, and I get the impression the same people maybe weren't the most happy about that. Maybe you can elaborate more on that afterwards.
Yeah.
But I was just, in public discords and things, people are like accusing me of posting too many decks or taking their ideas. And it'd be a very simple thing, like using Jocasta, an ally which grabs a defense ally, in a hero which has a good defense event. And I don't know how you can copyright that. I think that's intentional of the ally, but it's just all these little like tiny things over a long time, and there starts to be widespread reports of private messages trying to like undermine me and like make out that I'm some kind of villain. And I guess my name is not the most helpful in this regard, but that's just a little hint of it. And it got to the point where like I'm looking at this deck, I've made this deck, I've written it up, I'm like hovering over the publish button, I'm thinking, how much grief am I going to have to deal with? And it kind of got to the point where I didn't really want to do it. And again, that's one of the things. Oh, YouTube! Everyone on YouTube is welcoming. Nelson has started to have me on his channel. People ask me, "Oh, can you make a deck for my channel?" Things like, "Oh, people actually want to engage with me and work with me here." So that's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like a very similar experience to what you had. And yeah, I feel like for Marvel Champions specifically, like more than any other game, this is the most like creative game. And there are
Mhm.
so many different ideas in deck building and all that stuff. And just what you're talking about with Jocasta, oftentimes many people can have the exact same idea and it's still a different deck. I mean, but in Marvel CDB, you can post like, I don't know how many decks are on there, probably like maybe a million. I have no clue. But
A
I
lot.
mean, they're gonna be like copies of ideas, and some of it might be, intentional inspiration, which is still fine, and some of it, could just be like a random luck, like a coincidence. And yeah, I definitely think that there is, I don't know, a type of if your decks get popular, I feel like there's pressure for you to make creative decks. Even if you don't want to, you just want to post like the deck that you played like on a YouTube video. And in terms of stopping to post decks, I mean, I haven't stopped, but I actually have posted decks like a lot less recently. And people on my channel, they always shouts to Ores. He always says, "Why do you stop posting your decks? Where are your decks?" And then I'll quickly like make a deck and I'll post like what I have been doing for like the last probably like 10, 20, 30 decks was just the unpublished stuff. So I just have the deck and it's like not published so that people can still see the list because they're asking for it, and then I don't have to publish it because I don't want to do a write up, and I don't want to get scrutiny if I haven't like played the deck or something. I just want to post the deck and just have the list. You know what I mean? And I thought that I think most people think that that's what Marvel CDB is for, but there is a very minority part of the community where it's like this deck has to be perfected, it has to be like fine tuned. How dare you post this if it's like something that you haven't played, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I feel like there are basically, might as well be a million, might as well be a billion decks on Marvel CDB. Most of them have like zero likes, zero hearts, whatever, and that's maybe that's a bit sad. But the gist is, it doesn't do any harm for anyone to post a deck. I don't think anyone should be scared to post a deck and worry about getting some kind of grief or bad experience because of it. And I think we have slightly different experiences, but I have ended up coming to the same thing where you'll see in some of my videos, people ask, "Oh, can you share this deck? Where is it? How can I get it?" And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'll make it shareable, but I'm not publishing it." And in some of the other ones, I've made it shareable, put it in like the description or comment or something, but I'm just not publishing them because it's not worth the hassle and the mental cost for me to do it. I think you should post your decks. It actually made me a little bit angry to hear you stop posting like 20, 30 decks. Even if you posted half of that, that's such a significant amount to have not posted. And if people are interested, not be able to find as easily. So yeah, it is a minority, but I would say it's like a vocal, maybe an influential minority, and it's unfortunate, I think.
Yeah, to be fair, for like 20, 30 decks, they aren't like fine tuned. It's just like for like a weekly one shot challenge or something. I always be like, okay, let me just put this deck like really quick together, and then sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's good, but I just like play it one game and I'll like scrap it again. But people want to see the list, and then sometimes I forget to do the list, and then I'll have to like watch the video and I'll try like add in all the cards for a thing. And I'll be like, I think this is like a 90% approximation of what the deck is. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you said. And to anyone that's watching this, post your decks on Marvel CD, publish it. I mean, I think that everyone should feel free to, even though the two of us don't feel free to. We're not telling everyone to publish it, but we're not going to do it. So I don't know what's up with that.
Do as we say, not as we do. That's always works out well, right? That's
Yes, yes.
no. I mean, I do want to post more decks. I actually have like 6 decks. I did an unusual X-Men series before where I tried to do a slightly weird deck for all the X-Men, and now that we've had another wave of them, I do have some ready to go. I might post them. If this is out before I've done that, let me know in the comments if you're interested in that. There you go. But it's something I talked about on Shadow of the Cast recently as well. Just post your decks, and I'd really like to. I don't want to say there's like a bad culture there, especially across the majority of it. Majority of comments are going to be positive, and even constructive negative, I think, is fine as long as it's coming from your deck sucks. That's not a good place. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to, and I know Boom Guy has been big on this as well. Trying to make Marvel CDB a little bit of a friendlier place. I think most people don't notice anything, but for the people who do, I think it's I hope this doesn't put people off. Really, just post your deck and let us know about it. Let me know about it. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so another part of something that you mentioned earlier are names of people, and we talked a little bit about this off stream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, because I think that, so that's also the reason why I invited you for this episode. I also actually believe that we have the same haters, and I talked to D20 about this before, like on maybe his podcast, I think. But I have a conspiracy theory that the haters are like, they're in a little group together. So for example, and I was telling D20 this too, that I had people that were like either like friends of the channel or like subscribers, and I thought they were like really cool, and we chat a lot like on Discord. And I was like, this guy's awesome, and like we talked about decks. He was like, I love your stuff, like everything, right? So there's more than one person, but it's just like people that are like, okay, this guy's cool, like I'm cool with him, and then like we could exchange ideas. Then I would see somewhere that this person may have like linked up with, I think who you're saying is the ringleader, and then I started getting hate from the same people that I thought were like friends with me. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, like I thought like you like enjoyed my content. I thought we were friends, but I guess not. And then I find out there's like like influence, from like them joining the group. Like they're chatting a lot, either on Discord, something like that.
Yeah, I would say that is somewhat in alignment with my experiences as well. And it become, people who just interact normally start to take everything you say in like the worst possible context, or, just little weird things. It's like everything I do, they're just kind of like almost suspicious and waiting to try and make something of it. That may be a bit of exaggeration, but it's how I ended up feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, if that's accurate or not to them, but I had the exact same experience where it's like, and you gave me really good advice on this before too. It's no matter what I say, if someone does not like me, there is going to be negative. And there's literally, it got actually just checked before this podcast, but it got taken down. But there used to be a post on Reddit, and I think it got taken down like this week. But there's a post on Reddit where people are complaining that I am like, giving bad advice and being clickbaity. And there's 2 people talking to each other on that post, and one person saying, they're saying, what warrior is hunting on here? So like this makes me believe that he is being clickbaity. And a person's agreeing with them, and they're responding, and they're saying, what warrior's silence is proof of his guilt for him. And I'm like, do you guys see that? You guys are agreeing that I suck, but one person's saying that it's because I'm silent, and the other one's saying because I forgot. Like it's just like the contradicting thing. I confused myself there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like I thought back to your advice that you gave me one time. I think it was like the Doctor Strange is not the strongest hero one. But you told me like, hey, like, and you're very supportive, and I talked about this with some other people too, like on the podcast. But thank you again, Villain Theory, for like leaving a comment. You didn't have to do that. It was a long comment, so I really appreciate that. And it was just, it was very, it felt very kind. I was like, oh man, Villain Theory saw my video. He's not necessarily agreeing with my opinion, but he sees where I'm coming from, and like, he's not outright dismissing it. And I just it was very nice to see another content creator come out and say that to me. So thank you again for that comment. And the advice that you gave me was that you can never make haters happy, right? Like no matter what you do, one way or the other, they're going to not like it. So there's no point in thinking like, okay, I need to try to appease them. The main goal is to appease the people in your community, the people that support you, and to make content that they like versus trying to like appease the haters.
Yeah, I mean, hater, I feel like is a loaded term. If people are giving you constructive feedback, there is maybe you can either say, okay, maybe I'll try and work on it, or maybe that doesn't work for what I want to do, so I won't. But those people are free to obviously not watch. But if people keep coming back, keep giving you negative, or what you described on like the Reddit, one person talking to another person, sometimes these sort of negative things can feed into themselves, if that makes sense. And sometimes you just need to I feel like people need to step back. And, I'm sure we're all guilty of this, different ways, different places, but realize behind the keyboard, behind the screen, behind, the phone, there's people here, and we're just playing our silly superhero comic book card game, and we want to have fun. We want to engage with the community.
Yeah.
That's, it's, I feel like it's that simple. I feel like even most of the people we've had bad, experiences with still really enjoy this game, and probably in a different, introduced in a different way, in a slightly different, alignment. There's a different timeline where everyone actually just gets on, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, like in an alternate timeline, like we could have been best friends. And it's crazy because a lot of the people, like we were really, I'm not gonna say really good. Like from my perspective, at least, I thought we were like good friends in terms of like we talked a lot about the game before like they flipped on me, I guess. Okay, so let's just jump into it. So I'm going to censor out everything that I say. I apologize for the people, but I do want to see if Villain Theory relates to me. And if you don't, I'm gonna be kind of sad because I'm be like, oh man, like we're talking about different people. Okay, I'm gonna cover my mouth so they don't like see me like mouthing it. Is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is. That's crazy.
But I mean, I will also say, some of the stuff there is been very public, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's not like a super secret. Although I'm reluctant to actually say it. But yeah, I've kind of seen a lot of the stuff that I think has gone on toward you, and I felt really bad about that.
Oh snap. Okay. I didn't. So I haven't seen too. I've seen a few. So because I'm not very active on the Discords. And for the stuff towards you, I actually have not seen the hate towards you because I think I wasn't around at that time at all, right? And I think that you've already kind of removed yourself. Yeah. And I think I think at the time that I came on the scene, you already removed yourself from those environments where you could receive hate from. I need to cover my mouth, but I'm gonna censor. I'm gonna cut that part out if I didn't cover my mouth enough. But yeah. So. Yeah, and you don't need to say any more because I'm gonna pressure you, but now that I know, I can just speak freely on it. Yeah, so it's crazy because I actually had a really good experience with this person when I first started playing Marvel Champions, and they were actually one of the first subscribers to my channel, and we had a lot of like dialogue back and forth, and it was like very helpful for me. Like they're giving me a lot of advice. Good constructive criticism, like what I could do better, how I could improve my decks, my plays, everything. And I actually it was great. I really like this person, and people will see like in very old videos, I shouted this person out a lot. Like I was like, shout outs to I really want to put the bleeps in because I think it's funny whenever you bleep things out. But Vin there is saying that I may forget to put a bleep. I'm gonna like watch this like 5 times and make sure that I bleep everything correctly. But yeah, I was like, this guy is awesome. Like, and then we talked, privately and all this stuff. And I was like, this is a really cool person. He's very passionate about the game. He knows a lot, like a walking encyclopedia of Marvel Champions, right? I've seen the shorts that you do with Nelson, and he'll like quiz you on stuff. I was like, how the heck does he know that card? Because I'm hoping that one day I can also get to that level of like knowing so much about the game. So something that I aspire to be. But yeah, I thought he was awesome, and then something just started happening. I don't know. I think and then like maybe it was like 6 months in or something like that, but it was just like constant like barrage like through like public forums, through Discord. And it was one thing that I saw on Discord that where it probably wasn't the first thing, but that was where I was like, okay, like I guess we're not friends. Like I was a little bit like, I thought like, because the other stuff I always took as constructive criticism, and this one was really not so much that way. It was like just a public Discord. And then I was on it, there's a bunch of people on it, and then someone, I think like one of my subscribers, he like posted on it, and he was like, check out Web Warrior's new video. He like did this feat here. Like, isn't that like that shows that this hero that was like underrated is like really good, and like I feel this is pretty impressive. And then people are like, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then like this person commented on, or like just like replied, and then they're like, yeah, that's not impressive because this person, like referring to me, I'm like, we're friends, you can just say what warrior. But then they're like, this person always does this thing, he never does anything like impressive. And then he said, do something else if you want to impress me. And like I'm like, I'm not trying to impress you, I'm just trying to play like my hero and have fun. And that
Yeah.
was kind of the point where I realized that we weren't friends anymore.
Yeah, it's a tricky subject for me, and I'm a little bit worried about being too specific. I wish I hadn't had problems with this person because it's so annoying. Because I think they are genuinely, very, very good at the game. I don't know if it's like a jealousy thing. If let's say your decks are doing well or your videos are doing well, if it feels threatened, like maybe their opinion on this character and you said differently, maybe that feels threatened. I have no idea. But it's certainly unfortunate. I am glad to see there has been, this is kind of slightly off topic, but slightly on topic, some changes in different places. I know I don't know if you've seen this, but on Reddit, like a day or two ago at the time of recording, they put up a big post about how to, actual content creators. And you don't have to like what they post, but you can't just say, I don't like it because they post it, things like that. You have to, either give constructive criticism or take it elsewhere if you want to, rather than just try and like bring down what they put on. When what they put on is like allowed to be there. And I know the Discord servers are a little bit sharper on negative interactions than they used to be. I've been asked to come back to a couple of Discord servers, but I haven't. It's the long and short of it. I may one day, but I don't know. I feel very burned by, I guess, not only let's say a certain personal group, but also the reaction to these things constantly happening to me over basically multiple years. So I'm a little bit reluctant. I'm sort of stick to my little corner of the internet for the most part. But everything you say to me doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So I'm really sorry to hear that. That all that's happening, and I think that they have an influence, and I think that their knowledge helps a lot of people, like a lot of newer players, a lot of like older players as well. I think that to a lot of other people, they're very nice and like to me whenever I first started playing, you know what I mean? But I do want to like actually hear if you're willing to share. You don't have to share, and I can edit me asking you out this, all that too. What was the moment for you, like the moment where you're like, this person is like, I don't know, this person is not just giving me constructive criticism. This person is kind of like trying to like push me out, or like trying to like, I don't know, like just showing that it's kind of more malicious than it is like, hey, I disagree with your opinion and this is why.
I don't think I ever had like this like super friendly early interaction. I would say it had ups and downs, but when I came into the place where I felt this person was quite active and talking, I had been engaged in the game elsewhere. So I came in with like quite my own opinions and didn't strictly agree with theirs. And it wasn't like a big deal, but I did feel a little bit maybe of like hostility, but maybe it's just me being defensive. I don't know. So it's never like, I think compared to a lot of people, I don't think it was like on super, super good terms. But there came a point where I just posted a deck or something, and then they basically just said outright in a public place, like, oh, this is boring or badly made or something. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then later on they said, oh, you took this idea, which again, I disagree with. I can't even remember what it was now. I think, at some points it's been using a Web Warrior card on a non-Web Warrior hero, different heroes even, but just using Web Warrior stuff on a non-Web Warrior character, that's illegal, that's copyrighted, because I did one thing like however many months ago, no one else can use like this anywhere else, and I'm just like, I don't understand. And this kept like became like a little pattern here. I don't know if I even necessarily want to say anymore. I probably shouldn't have said as much, but I just kind of gave up on it, and I basically just left everywhere now, so I don't have to engage.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Like, for real, like, I mean, I know you. I guess I don't know you, but I feel like I know enough to where I think you're a really good guy, and I don't think that like that's fair to you because I know you didn't copy the deck, right? And there's so many ideas. Some people like share with me their decks, and specifically for the Web Warrior stuff. Like I know it's something that you did with like a Web Warrior combo, right? Like specifically Star Lord, and I was inspired by your Star Lord Web Warrior deck, and I actually my first game with Star I think was also a Web Warrior deck that was inspired by you. I think I did Protection though. I think you did Leadership, right? Yeah, but it
Correct.
was still like inspired by you, but I wouldn't say it's a copy, right? Because like if you play Starlord with Web Warriors, that's not a copy. And for anyone else that sends me decks like that, I always think of you. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, you copy Villain Theory. Like maybe they were inspired for you, maybe they haven't even seen it, right? Like there's so many unique things with that, and I think that sucks that they said that on a public place that you copied that. And I don't know if at the time you're kind of like as big as you are right now, because yeah. So I feel like that at that point it would really suck because I think that this person started hating or started saying more negative stuff to me at a time where I think I was a little bit bigger. So I feel like I felt more like okay, it's okay. I don't have to associate with this person anymore. But if that happened whenever I was, like just starting out, I would feel so like I don't know, demotivated. Like yeah, I can't even imagine how that feels. Like just starting to like be a new person in the community and then like getting that for something you think is a really cool idea, right? Like I think that is a really cool idea. Like Star Lord playing with our web warriors, using his ability to put in the web of life and destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was necessarily the first person to ever think about it with Starlord or post it with Starlord. I didn't know that at the time, but nowadays, if I ever think about posting a deck, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm like, has anyone posted anything similar? Have they ever mentioned the cards? What do I have to do here to not get the hate brigade to come down on me? Like, it feels really silly. Because if they didn't want, Web of Life and Destiny to be used on other characters, they shouldn't have given like the ability to do so for the full cost of it. We're gonna have similar, I think, coming up with hopefully I'm saying it right, the Dora Milaje, from Shuri's pack. Maybe not quite as wide appealing, but they have the same kind of loophole if you
Yeah.
wanted to take it elsewhere. I wouldn't say I was necessarily small at the time. This got. I mean, it depends. It depends. I didn't make videos at all. My decks, the more traction my decks got, the worse it kind of became. To the point I still post the odd one. Maybe posted like 2 or 3 across the last year or two. I'm not quite sure how accurate that is, but it definitely slowed down tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would give you the same advice that you and I gave everyone else because I would love to see more villain theory decks. And I'm sure that you see comments like that all the time in your videos. Like, please post back again. So to everyone that's watching this, please encourage villain theory. Post back more decks. Like, I think that at this point, like just how big you are, I don't think anyone is thinking that you're copying decks if you post it. I don't think you have to look behind your shoulder anymore. That being said, I do the exact same thing. So like whenever I post a deck, I'm like, man, I hope no one else posts this deck. And like sometimes I do like a quick search to see if like anyone posts anything similar. And sometimes I'm lazy. I'm just like, fine, I'll just post it, whatever. But yeah, so even though I do the same thing that you do, my advice is don't do that, man. Like just post it. It's still your idea if you came up with it, right? If you are inspired, like I do it all the time. I was like, I would say this deck is inspired by so and so, and sometimes I miss it and I didn't know that this deck was out already. But yeah, I mean, I think that the community is going in a better place now, and I think people want to see your ideas and they want to see your deck. So
Well, my advice to myself would be exactly what we've just talked about here. But it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to do it. And I think what has helped me is every time this happened, I want to say somewhere between 4 to 12 like private messages of support. And as that kind of grew, like not without me saying anything, just that people would say, "I saw this happen," I'd be like, "Oh, I started to realize I wasn't like alone in this," and it got to a boiling point, like a while ago, and I just found this massive post on a certain Discord server where I just seen something that really set me off, and I was like, "No, this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. Leave it alone." And I don't want to say that started to show some improvement in certain places, like maybe more people are aware of it. but I got like 20, 30 messages privately. Like it got a lot of like positive reactions, and it sort of made me feel like even though this, maybe this certain like group or whatever it is, this source of negativity might have some kind of influence or something, and it might have seemed like a whole bunch of people like hating on me, and oh, maybe I had done something wrong. What's going on? I realized actually I'm in the majority, but they're a quiet, polite majority who are just trying to get on with their playing their game. So that makes me feel a lot better about it. And you know, if it wasn't for that, maybe I would have just left the community. In all honesty, I have thought about it more than once in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I'm thankful to all people that, gave you those private messages, and shouts to everyone that gives private messages to content creators, to me too, to Villain Theory. I mean, like, I totally agree. Like, it feels so nice. Someone just messaged you and they're like, hey, I see this is what's going on right now on Reddit. And I just want to, say that I love your content. I think that what you're doing is awesome. Thank you so much for like everything you do for the community. Like, words like that mean so much. And I don't even know how to respond to that. I always say the same thing, like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But I can't describe how much I appreciate it, like, through like the words without like sounding weird. Like, I don't want to, be like, oh man, you're the best. You're the, yeah, I don't know. But yeah. I mean, it's cool to hear that you also like really enjoy that. And I think that it's really good. And huge shout out to you, Villain Theory, because you messaged me, I think like last week, like privately, and you're like, hey, Web Warrior, I just want to check in. Hope you're doing okay, because of like the last thing that happened. And I was very thankful to that too. So that's really you passing that forward.
I'm not entirely sure what to say, but I'm glad it's maybe helpful or appreciated. We can always we can always choose kindness or not, and kindness is free. So I'm definitely very much on the train of be considerate, be kind. If there's criticism, make it constructive. Yeah, show a little love to anyone you enjoy watching, anyone you enjoy who builds decks. Marvel CDB, have a look at a couple of decks. Maybe just leave a couple of nice comments for people. I think, especially people who don't often get comments in that, it can really make someone's day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I also want to add, for like this conversation that we're having, I don't know, like, this is probably a selfish thing. It feels good to me that it's the same person, because I've actually never talked to anyone about this. So like
Really?
yeah. So, or
Uh,
like not anyone, I guess, in like the Marvel Champion sphere, like anyone that can
mhm.
like relate, I guess,
Yeah,
right? Not
the
like,
full context then.
yeah. So it's really
Yeah.
cool, to, yeah. And I'll be honest, I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think that, and I do want to move off this topic because I know that it's like a little bit touchy. But I don't know. I feel like I can really relate to you. And if anyone comments like their name, I'm gonna delete the comment. Sorry guys, I just don't want any hate for, towards anyone. So please don't try to guess. It's probably bad that I'm putting this out there
I
anyways, but
I would say guessing is bad in all respects, because let's say you name the person, it's making them they, they don't have the chance to answer back here, and I don't think that's fair at all. But also, if you guess the wrong person, then that's bad for them as well. So it's like a lose-lose scenario.
D20 woodworking. No, just
I can't believe D20 made this response to my video. He's such a bigger channel. He's trying to shut me down. No, it's not D20. D20 is great.
yeah, he's freaking awesome. Yeah, cause okay, and I will say one more thing on that. I see. I'm not gonna like name other names, but I guess it's not that big of a deal because it's not like anything bad or anything like that. But like, I've seen other big channels like do stuff. How do I word this? Okay, I'm gonna say I saw them like play this person's decks and like give them a shout out. And
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that.
I think I have. I don't know if I've seen it happen for a while, but I also don't. I haven't like gone looking for it per se. My time to actually be able to watch people's content is much less than I
Yeah,
like. I don't know how much they're even aware of all this stuff anyway from certain people. It's
yeah,
very tiresome to have to even deal with it in the
yeah.
first place. So I don't know if I could say anything more than that.
Yeah, no, so I do want to say it's not the other person's fault. I like, to me, that's what made me feel like kind of alone in the situation, because I was like, oh,
Mm.
like they're friends with everybody. Like, I like it's only like me that's like feeling this experience. So that was kind of what I was getting at whenever I saw that you, and like, to the people that they have not, done anything negative towards, that person should shout them out, right? Like this is nothing. They didn't do anything wrong. Like it's not. They don't have positive experiences with this person. So like it's not D20. So I'll just say D20. Like if it was like D20, like shouting them out a lot, like do it. Like he should, because like if this person has been good to D20, like he should talk good about them, right? So yeah, I'm not trying to say anything bad about like that. It's just like it makes me feel sometimes a little bit alone, right? Like, oh man, this guy that like hates me, D20 is like who's like my like friend, right? Who I really like, D20. It's like they're like best buds, but I can't say anything about this person because like D20 I loves them and I don't want to like ruin their relationship or anything like that. So like hearing you confirm that with me makes me feel like like we're in this together.
A little bit. I'm a little bit worried. I don't know if a podcast is fully the best place to go like, into it. But I mean, I don't think you're alone. And at the end of the day, we're still just two people. We could be wrong. I don't think anyone should take our word as law either. I'm always, about to see it from different angles, and maybe I'm missing an angle. I don't want to anything specific, but definitely had some maybe not so good experiences that have maybe quite a major effect on how I interact with the community and the game.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to another subject here. So this actually something that you mentioned earlier, and it kind of ties into a question from one of my channel members. Let me find the question really quick. So this is a question from Mitch. Huge shouts to Mitch. He asked, are there certain places that are worse than others? Like, is Reddit more aggressive than, say, Facebook? And how does it compare to YouTube? He's personally never experienced anything too aggressive, but he says that he's sure that there are people who have and are looking for a better subset of the community. So what would we recommend, I guess? Yeah.
I don't use Facebook, so I cannot comment on that one. I would say there's good and bad everywhere, but I would say YouTube comments have been the friendliest place. And I think it's because if you're watching someone's YouTube video, you've had to go to that person. So the haters who, they're less likely to, or they're likely to go on, dislike, peace out, whatever they want to do, So I feel like the most positive place is probably YouTube, and I also feel that from other creators in general. And everywhere else, you're gonna have a mixed experience. I would say I don't want to be negative toward Reddit, but I would say that's maybe you've got the bigger concentration, right? But it's also got the bigger concentration of people in general. So you might see more negative, but you're going to see more everything. So I feel like I'm trying to maybe sugarcoat it, but Reddit's been really positive to me recently after there was a big post about content creators, what's going on, and there was so much support for content creators. And I know, I think I maybe even read something you posted there, but like it definitely like affected you the negativity, as I think it would anyone. But I also saw a lot of people pushing back against that, and that made me feel really inspired to try it again.
Cool. I'll do my rankings. I want to ask you to also rank them. Yeah. So for me, I would say from positive to negative. I agree with you. YouTube is the best experience ever. I think YouTube is the nicest people. There are still some negative stuff on YouTube, but it's not as, I don't know, it just feels, most of the time, it feels like it's just like a one-off type of person. And there is like, and I had a really good experience recently with someone on YouTube too, who's like a longtime hater of my channel. And they've like posted like a bunch of negative stuff like all throughout, the months. And they recently commented something, and I always try to be nice when I comment back. They commented something, and it was funny, and I actually laughed out loud. It wasn't like negative. It was just like a funny comment about something. Like, I don't know, like let's say like Maria Hill looks funny in this art or something like that, right? And then I like type out like LOL, and then I was like, that's funny. And they replied, they're like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm really sorry for all the hate that I've been giving you the past few months. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I really like your channel, and like I'm gonna stop doing that. And like they've been entirely supportive now, and I was like, wow, that made my day, because it was just like, wow, like it's just like someone, I don't know, like maybe they're going through their own troubles. I have no clue, but it just feels good to like reconcile with someone, and like they send that olive branch out to me. It's like through a public comment, but it just felt nice. Yeah. So yeah. So YouTube, definitely number one for me. It's the best. And then I actually have not thought this list all the way through. So I'll also include Marvel CDB in this thing, right? So I guess the 5 things: YouTube, Marvel CDB, Reddit, Discord, and Facebook. I think I would put Facebook as a second most like nice place to be in. And I know that you're not that active on Facebook. I think you don't have a Facebook, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna dig too much into that, but yeah. So Facebook, I feel like maybe it's because you got to have your public profile and like your faces on there. But people are generally, I think, more nice on Facebook. So I would go YouTube, Facebook, and then Reddit, Discord, and Marvel CDB. Man, it's like, it's like just three three bad places. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let me think. How would I guess I would say Mario CDB for number three, and then Discord and Reddit. The negativity is like different ways. I'm inclined to almost say Discord is the roughest one because I feel like that when two people have like a full-on conversation in a public place like about you, it's like, dang, like why don't you guys have like a private chat for this? Like it just feels weird. It's like why is this just like, do you want me to see it? I guess so. I'm inclined to say Reddit number four, and in Discord is the most rough place, but only in my experience. Would you agree with that list, or what are your own rankings? These are tough questions.
Oh, well, I can't comment too much on Facebook. In general, this is going to sound really weird as a content creator, but I'm trying to avoid or not spend too much time on social media places. uh, so, there's that aspect that Facebook, I don't personally really know much of what's happening. I've not heard, I don't know if people would even tell me, but I've not heard about much negative at all toward me there. So I assume I'm going to put that, I've never even heard of anyone being negative toward me on Facebook. So that's going to be number one on my list. Ignorance is bliss. But then definitely YouTube. And, I think I'm lucky in that I don't get as many negative comments as I think most YouTubers do. But I definitely, anyone who puts himself on the internet is going to get stuff. And I see stuff around. But overall, really, really positive in terms of like the creators for the most part and all the people. So that's, yeah. And then Discord's a weird one because I'm on Discord a lot. I'm on my own server. And surprise, surprise, kind of tried to make my server a place I want to be. And I left everywhere else. So for me these days, Discord is like the most positive place. But if we're talking like the big community Discord server, it's got loads of good people on there. It's got tons and tons of good people on there. But definitely, when the negative is there, it definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head, Co. So I'm going to agree with what the other things you said. When the bad is there, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I do want to give all shots to all the amazing people on Discord. Like the people that run Discord are super nice. Yeah, huge shots to all of them. Like they like post our videos sometimes too. Like reposting it for people to see. They leave nice messages as well, like privately in the DMs and everything. So yeah, I think that it's run. I think everyone that runs the Marvel Champion stuff, it's still like very, very nice and like an amazing community. It's just like maybe like an offset like channel, I guess. Like people are just like going back and forth, and you're like, man, can you guys just bring it to the DMs? Like I can see this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you questions from the channel members. So the first question here
Okay.
is from Evil. Huge shots to Evil. Thank you for the question. He is evil. No, his name's Mark. But question for Villain Theory: which community do you find more positive or less negative? Marvel Champions or Marvel Rivals?
Oh, more positive or more positive, definitely Marvel Champions. I gotta give it up.
Nice.
Rivals to me, what I've been exposed to isn't like terribly negative. I actually think, if I could compare it to when Overwatch came out, I definitely feel it's more positive than that. So superheroes make people happy, maybe, but Champions definitely is gonna take the lead.
Awesome. And I maybe the people are wondering because I'm curious, where are you on Marvel Rivals? Because I know you're really good at Marvel Rivals, and I've heard stuff from D20 too about you playing Marvel Rivals. Are you planning to like break into that community and like do a lot more Marvel Rivals stuff, or are you gonna keep to Marvel Champions? Do you have a new channel right now that's just Marvel Rivals that we don't know about? Like, what's going on with that?
No, no. In the beta for Marvel Rivals, I played quite a lot, and I did initially when the game came out play quite a lot. I've relaxed on it a bit the last, honestly, few weeks. But it's still, I'm dabbling in it a couple of times a week at the moment. But it's definitely gone down a lot from where it was. Part of that is the time to put into like making videos and stuff like this. If I wasn't a content creator, I can tell you I would have, played a lot more Marvel Rivals, probably be a few ranks higher. I'm still not planning to go into it anymore. I'm not planning to be part of the community in like any kind of content creator way. But I still really like the game. When I find time, I try and get back into it a little more. But yeah, it's really fun. It's free to play. Recommend trying it.
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it here, folks. There is a video on your channel reviewing Marvel Rivals, and in that video, I was excited for it because I don't play Marvel Rivals because I don't have any like console that can handle it. But you said that there might be more Marvel Rivals content to come, and I hung on to those words.
Well, I said if, depending on how well it does and if people like it, and I got a couple of replies on that, but I can see that most people that watched it are my usual subscribers and they didn't watch it for long. So for now, I'm like, I enjoy playing it. Maybe that doesn't need to be like this isn't work per se. It still is a hobby, but it's closer to work than it used to be, making content for it. So maybe just leave Marvel Rivals purely that I just play it for fun and not have to, make videos. So I would enjoy it. Just kind of more relaxed this way.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I posted like some Lorcana videos because I got really into Lorcana, and each time I post a Lorcana video, like people unsubscribe. It gets like no views. I'm like, oh man. But I mean, right now I'm a little bit more hyped into Marvel Champions because of all the new stuff that's coming out for that. But if there's another slow period, I might have to jump back to Lorcana.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is such a tricky platform because it wants you to do well and keep doing well, and people want to keep seeing what they started watching you for as well. I know. I don't know if D20 talked about this, but my impression is, he's trying to do these different things. He covers a lot of different games, but whenever I see him do a big Mobile Champions video, it definitely like completely outweighs all his non-Mobile Champion stuff that he's done. Hopefully that's fair to say. But majority of people that subscribe to him are looking for that Marvel Champions content, and yeah, I hope you can find a safe space to look it up when you would like to.
Thank you. Man, I feel like you're taking shots at D20 right now. I didn't even mention him, man. And because of the video where he talked about you and he critiqued you.
That wasn't meant to be negative, but you know what? How dare he critique me? He said some disgusting words, and this is the beginning of our next YouTuber drama arc.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just kidding. I don't think anything you said was negative. I think that D20 knows that his Marvel Champion stuff is like what he's primarily known for. But I think he wants to like branch out and like be like a big like board gamer, not just like a Marvel Champions guy. And I think that's, for us, we're kind of just staying in like the Marvel Champions thing. But I understand because he knows how to play like all these games. Like I don't even know the name of these games. And it's crazy to learn all these different rules. Like for Lorcana specifically, I got into that like watching his video and he kind of taught me how to play. So I mean like,
He's good at it.
Yeah, I cannot learn like I don't know 10 games and like have like different nights like playing them. But I think that it hits a lot of people, right? Because a lot of people play like 1 or 2 or 3 games. So even though it won't hit, his full like, almost 10,000 subscribers, I'm sure that like everyone is happy because there's a lot of people that play Marvel Champions that play at least one of the other games that he plays.
Yeah, no, he's definitely really good at that. He's also really entertaining on stream, and I definitely think he has the potential to break into like just being more of a general board gamer if that's what he wants to. Because I really enjoy watching his stuff. So
yeah, it's so fun.
I think yeah, is any positive from my end? I just know that a lot of people want to see Marvel Champions, and it's obviously similar for us, I guess. As more specialist Marvel Champions channels, to a slightly more degree.
Yeah. All right, here's the next question. This is from Nalikar. He said, question for both. If DC Champions became a thing made by the creators of Marvel Champions, would you consider covering that as well? Is it something either of you would be excited for, or would you prefer they full steam ahead with Marvel content?
I would prefer full steam ahead with Marvel content. I'm a Marvel guy, but I don't dislike DC. But, you get past Batman and Superman, and my knowledge starts to get fuzzy. I do know more. I have engaged with more, but at a very surface level. Maybe, let's say I know 10 to 20 characters. With Marvel, it's well over 100. But with that said, I would, if they started to do it, I would probably cover it. I mean, if it's the same kind of... I've always said, I love theme, but I love mechanics and, the integrate, the playing, the tactical kind of, decision, the bits and everything. All the really nerdy stuff, I maybe like more than the thematic stuff in some card games.
Yeah.
So even if it wasn't, as appealing to me as Marvel, it's still superhero stuff. I still do like most of the characters I know. I do really like and all that. And if it's the same game and like, similar and fun, why wouldn't I cover it? And something that happened with Marvel Champions is I was quite a fan of Marvel stuff in the MCU, but I was somewhere between really into it and like maybe the average person. And the more I play this game, the more I have got into Marvel more and more year by year. And, a new pack would come out and be like, who is this character? And then I would learn who it is because of the game. I'd look it up, people would talk about it. And then it kind of got to the point where everyone announced for the game. I'm like, oh, I already know them. And my knowledge started to accelerate beyond where it was because of the game. So now when someone pops up in the MCU, I'm like, oh, I know them because of Marvel Champions and not the other way around.
Yeah.
So the long story of this is that I think I could even get a lot more into DC stuff if they started to do like that as a game here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you, and I'm on the exact same page. Like, I'm also more of a Marvel guy. Shout out to Team Marvel. Like, side note, Team Marvel. Sorry guys, I had to take a break because my wife just came back. But anyways, Team Marvel. So yeah, I am big on Team Marvel. I was actually talking to one of my clients like a year ago or 2 years ago, and they asked me, they're like, "Do you have the coin for Team Marvel?" And I was like, "Wait, what coin?" And they're lying, there is no coin. But when I came home, because my wife is also Team Marvel, I asked her like the same joke, and I was like, "Do you have the coin?" And she was like, "What? I need the coin. What coin?" Because like we're Team Marvel, and I was like, "No, there's no coin." So yeah, Marvel should make a coin because there should be like a DC one and a Marvel coin, and people should just know when you're Team Marvel because this is the winning team. And I do feel like it's weird. I feel like actually most Marvel Champions content creators are Team DC, and they
I've
won.
I've had similar.
Yeah, like guys, get out. Like this is not for you, man. This is for us. This is for me and Villain there. This is Team Marvel only. But yeah, if they did make a DC Champions, I would definitely play it. I hope that it like if it can integrate within Marvel Champions, right? So if I can play Spider-Man in like a Gotham scenario or play Batman against like, Ronin, then yeah. But if it's like if there is no connect between the two worlds, then I probably wouldn't cover it. But if you could do that, then I mean I'll definitely cover it just because I do like DC heroes. I just know less about it because Team Marvel.
Team Marvel. A lot of people are going to be like, you need to explore more DC if you don't know enough about it, But I mean, I've dabbled quite. I want to say quite a bit, but I clearly include an idiot here. But yeah, we're Team Marvel. We're the real ones. I actually have my Marvel coin. I can't show it to you now for legal reasons, but I'll let you know. I'll hook you up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Nakar, for the question. And then the last question here is from Sean. He said, for both of us, what is one of your most popular decks on Marvel CDB?
Oh no, my most popular deck on Marvel CDB is my Spider Ham deck, but I actually don't like it that much. It's the basis of it is fine, but I've gone off it a little bit. So there's a mixed response there. A deck I like more in Marvel CDB that's quite popular is either of my Storm decks.
Okay, gotcha. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on your Storm decks or no? I know one of them is called
Yeah.
like Raining Men, right? That one's fun.
I think it's called Raining Multiple Men, which the name
My
suggested
bad.
on Discord, and I basically got pressured by a bunch of people like, if you don't call it this, we're gonna riot. I'm gonna riot. This name is too good. And I'm like, okay, the people have spoken. And the idea for that actually came from a deck builder some people might know called, I think, Meji Doladine. I always get the pronunciation wrong. I've mentioned him on my channel before. And they're just like, I like Multiple Man with Storm. And I'm like, that seems really good. And they're like, I think I asked, like, can I use that in this deck? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And it became one of my favorite Storm decks. So that's a really cool idea that originally came from them. And then I kind of built around it with what else I was doing. Because previously, I was running more of a repurposed Storm protection deck. And the funny thing is now, they prefer Storm repurpose, and I prefer the Storm multiple man. So we kind of swapped
Nice.
in that regard, to my understanding. So that one is one I highly recommend. There's a lot of new cards that could update it, though. New X-Men stuff, new protection stuff. And then the aggression one is an idea that I think is pretty commonplace now. I don't think it was at the time, maybe, but I don't remember all back then and stuff. But it's Storm aggression with Boot Camp. So Boot Camp and Thunderstorm are sending the allies into overdrive, and they're hitting for ridiculous damage, and it greatly entertains me.
Nice. For me, I guess my most popular deck is my Web Warrior Fanatic deck. That's like the Justice Spider-Man deck that I used like when I first started playing the game, and I like took through like every scenario with that deck. A deck that's popular that I would shout out is my Cable deck. That's called I Love Spider-Man, and it's about loving that Peter Parker Justice 5 cost ally Spider-Man, which is usually good in multiplayer. And I did originally design a deck for multiplayer. And then you use the chance encounters with Cable. Each time you defeat a side scheme, you can tutor any ally from deck or discard power add to your hand. But I found the deck so fun and powerful that I can actually play it in solo because of Cable's economy. And I played the Peter Parker Spider-Man several times in solo and could afford him. And then he could just remove 3 threat because it's 3 per player. It's not that good in solo, but it's still fun to play because he's 5 costs and then he can still activate 4 times with 4 hit points, 2 thwart, 2 attack. So it's always fun playing that big card out. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with that deck. Usually just recurring Nick Fury though, but if I have the breathing room to get down Peter Parker, I always go for him. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I really love that big Peter Parker, and I really love Cable. So that sounds like a pretty awesome combo. I'm aware of both the decks you mentioned.
Yes. Same for your decks.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then yeah, okay. So I did want to ask you an advice actually. So this is the thing that I guess I want to end on. It's actually something that I wanted to bring up earlier, but I forgot about it. So I remembered it now. So yeah, okay. So my question for you is, I don't know about you. I've experienced some hatred, or we'll say less than constructive criticism from other content creators as well. And this has not happened recently, but it's happened a little bit more like whenever not when I first started, but around like the middle point of my Marvel Champions like playing time or whatever. Have you experienced hate from other content creators as well, or is it usually just like from Discord or like Reddit?
That is quite a spicy question there. When I started my YouTube channel, it became within the Marvel Champions sort of sphere, which is quite a like small niche in the ginormous YouTube machine. My channel got quite popular quite quickly compared to like the average experience, and a lot of content creators were not happy that I did I was quite popular quite quickly. And I had quite a few people tell me, either immediately or weeks or months afterwards, that they were very jealous and very unhappy, to varying degrees early on.
Sorry to interrupt. Like people have told me, hey, I'm really jealous, of like the speed you got and stuff, but like you have great content. Like they're saying that they're unhappy, or like just like, because like, is it like fun? Like they are jealous, but like it's like they love you. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like it's such you're like growing so much faster than me, but like I love your stuff. Or is it actually like I'm upset at you for like being so good and like having such amazing content?
I think there is a spectrum between kind of the more friendly side and the more slightly begrudging side. And the thing I've said to most of these people is that I spent hundreds of hours across multiple years putting decks out there. So it didn't come out of nowhere. I think, I put hundreds of hours in before that happened. And I used to post on Reddit very actively, and I used to post, these hero deep dives that were popular and things. So it didn't come out of nowhere. And I think a lot of people understood that. The only one where I say that it really went from, a little bit of, bad feeling to hate was one specific person. And they made videos. And they started to, like, once the video drop, like, some random hateful or disparaging comment about me, which I wasn't even aware of, really. Like, people, like, someone told me, like, this person's saying, like, this bad thing at me, like almost every video, they're just saying like something. I'm like, why are they doing that? I'm aware they kind of put a post up saying, like, put a video up saying, maybe I was too negative. I shouldn't have been. It's on me, etc. Without actually saying the words sorry or apologizing anywhere in it. So it's like, this is kind of weird. But they stopped at that point. That was kind of, I think, meant to be the end of it. And if anyone knows who that is or remembers anything about that one, please don't throw any names here. It's all fine. I don't feel any resentment. It's just kind of I guess surprising, and but it's everything is fine now.
Yeah. So in the middle of you telling that story, I figured out who it was.
Oh no.
So obviously I don't know how much of this I'm gonna keep in. Especially if I want to get more specific, I definitely like probably not keep it in. But yeah, is it?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think they were always genuine in that they liked my stuff, but I also feel like they maybe had some like resentment toward me for whatever reason, whether it was justified or not. I mean, they said they don't think it was, but I like their channel and what they did as well. So it's kind of sucks a little bit, you know. But like, I hope everything is good now. I hope everything becomes good with you. And the only thing I will actually add is that I think as we are a very small niche, like in the greater, you know, any kind of context really, it's a little Marvel card game. You know, when you think about it, everyone knows everyone. And sometimes if you're really driven to something and there's only a finite amount of like views or people or time people can spend and stuff, maybe, you know, I didn't go into this with a competitive mindset. I went into YouTube to get out of the competitive, like what I felt quite toxic deck building space. So I never came into it with that. But I feel like if you're really driven, I can see how something might get under your skin. So, you know, I don't want to make anyone out who's, you know, done anything negative to be a bad person or anything like that. Yeah, hopefully that made sense. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, that made perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, I think that I completely agree with you. Like these people that you know, hate me and you, or just one of us. It sucks because I would love to work with these people. Like, and at one point, like I feel like I was at good terms with these people, and I mean, some of them weren't always with you, but for you, like, well, you know, at least one of the people were on good terms with you, and it just feels like I don't know, it's just like a missed opportunity because I feel like we should be more collaborative in this, like, you know, this smaller space of Marvel Champions. And in terms of what you said about, you know, the community being like less competitive, I never got like super deep into like competitive TCGs, but I really like this space in terms of like it being like a more co-op type of environment as well. My reasoning for really like getting into YouTube and you know, posting on here was not necessarily to leave like the more competitive space, but kind of to like have people to share my passion with. Because I don't know if she can hear me, but I got Marvel Champions, like, you know, for me and my wife to play, but she would be a little bit too busy to play. And after, you know, playing and posting my games online, a lot of people online, I could discuss the game with them. And then I don't ask her to play that often anymore because I feel like I'm able to, I have like an outlet here, you know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that part of the community. So yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
just stinks, yeah.
Yeah, I think in a way you misunderstood what I said, but I think that's still interesting to have that explanation for people afterwards. But I meant Marvel CDB, maybe a little bit too much competition. You know, people too competitive
Gotcha.
on there per se, and that's why I went more to the YouTube route where people seem to be really, you know, collaborative and want to kind of just work together.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I totally misunderstood. I thought you meant like
But
competitive
still,
like TCGs. Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. And then I do have a question for you, like a follow-up question to that. So I've also received some negativity from content creators that I think, and they're like quite prevalent right now in the community, and it's off and on, right? It's weird because some people that like say negative stuff will like flip around and then say positive stuff like afterwards. I don't know if that's happened to you, but it's and I don't really know how to take it because like for me, after you say like, you know, five negative things throughout like different videos, I'm kind of like you're not my friend anymore. But then when you start saying positive stuff, I'm kind of, oh crap, like I don't know how to feel about that, but I feel like I still can't really like trust you because of the negative stuff that happened before.
I get the impression I have less people saying negative toward me. I don't think I've been in that position, aside from you know, a couple of specific people we've kind of sort of alluded to, kind of thing. Apart from those very specific instances, as a general, like other content creators, maybe they're saying things I'm not aware of because I've removed myself from a lot of places. But generally, and I don't watch a lot of videos and stuff from everyone else. I do try, but there's so much out there. There's like over 30 creators in this space. There's probably over 40, over 50. I can't keep a track of everything, so maybe I just missed it. But I don't think it's happened as much with me. But I completely sympathize with where you're coming from because, you know, certain, you know, maybe individuals that we focus a lot on here. You know, I have had good experience. I've had really good experiences. Sometimes I thought it's really turned a corner and it's going to be good now, and then it's come crashing down. And at this point, I kind of feel like I'm done trying and just I'd rather do my thing, let them do their thing, and you know, kind of go with that. That's kind of the point about there. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you know, I don't think I can relate as much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's okay because I still have advice that I want to ask from you. So, in terms of like that, and I like talked about earlier about like, you know, a big hater of my channel. You know, he apologized and he said that, you know, like he regrets everything that he's done. And for me, like, if if that happens with like anybody, like I'm gonna give them a whole new like fresh start. Like I'm not someone to hold grudges if they are willing to be, be the bigger man and like say, hey, I'm sorry for what I did and all of that. But if that doesn't happen, and let's say a creator asks you for a collab, a creator like maybe one of the ones that we talked about, that's that has said negative things about you, because it leaves, it's happened to me and it left me in like an awkward place. It's kind of like, oh, what should I do in this situation? What would you do? Like, would you, like, obviously if they apologize, that's different. Like I would totally accept that, and I would be down like for a collab. But if it's just kind of like, hey, like, I said some negative stuff, now I'm saying some positive stuff, and then I want you to come collab on my channel, but we never discussed the negative stuff. Like we never like talked about it specifically or like addressed it. Would you collab, or would you be like, I don't know, like what's your advice to me, like as someone that's in this situation?
I'm in a really weird place where I'm someone who doesn't like confrontation at all, but I also sometimes feel like it's very necessary, and like it's a very strange place. But to me, if that was outstanding, I would probably bring it up with them directly. Obviously, it depends. I don't know the context of who it could be in this hypothetical situation. But to me, if the air isn't cleared, if they've like potentially done a bunch of negative toward me, and then I meant to like sweep it all under the carpet and ignore it, I probably wouldn't. And it doesn't mean I have to be negative toward them. It doesn't mean I have to hold a grudge per se, but it's just like, if you're gonna do all this negative toward me, why would I work with you? Kind of maybe not phrase it exactly like that, but I don't think people can assume they can say whatever they like about you and then just work with you. I don't think that's right at all. I think maybe in a real life situation, maybe in a political, maybe if there's any real power people have over some other people, maybe you're going to have to work with people that you don't want to. Even in like a real life office, workspace, you might have to work with someone you really don't want to. But here, just doing our own little creative thing, our own little videos, we can just chill. We don't have to do it. So I probably wouldn't. Or I'd try and talk it out with them. Like I would bring it up.
Yeah.
Worst case, the collab doesn't happen.
Yeah. Thank you for the advice. I think that's good advice. Will I take it? Probably not. I feel like I'm less confrontational as well, in where like if the other person extends the olive branch, not through offering to collab, but through like addressing the situation, then I would accept it. But I don't think that I would want to like confront them in terms of like, hey, like let's address like what happened. And to be fair to the other person, like I don't think that this is anything negative for a really long time. It was probably like back when I had like, I don't know, like 1K subscribers, like so it's like a while back, and they've been like very nice since. But to me, it just puts me in an awkward place where I can't, I don't know, like have them on my channel or go on their channel unless like we actually address it. And I'm not the type of person to be like, hey, let's address this right now, because once again, like you said, it's just kind of, we're just playing cards. Like if it was like a workplace thing, I might have to, because it's someone that I have to see like every single day, for example. But yeah, I hear you. Not gonna do what you said, but thank you, Villain Theory.
I feel like I used to probably not like conflict and just maybe not have brought it up, but I got to a point on the internet. I've been on the internet way too much for way too many years, and I become very jaded. I think almost like a zero tolerance policy, where like either it's dealt with or it's not. I think this is a case where I'd be like, hey, things seem like they've been cool, but I feel a little bit weird about this thing that happened. What's up? Are we good? What was going on there? See, that's totally fair not to do it, of course, but otherwise, I guess I would worry that I would do the collab and then they would return to it or something. And it depends if it's been a long time ago. Maybe it's different, but that would be in the back of my mind. If they're willing to say it then, would they say it again? Do I really want to like have worked with them, have that permanent thing off the internet with someone that's actually, I don't know, despises me and is saying these things that is? So hopefully that makes sense to you as well. And it's totally fine whatever you do. Maybe my advice is bad.
No, I think it is good advice, and I'm asking you, so like I'm kind of imposing you with that. So I appreciate you sharing your honest opinion and giving me some sound advice that I will definitely give some thought to. Probably still not follow, but yeah.
I didn't mean to say like, oh, my advice is bad in like a weird way, but I'm not. My point was maybe what I'm saying is not necessarily the right thing to do anyway. I'm not claiming I'm some font of wisdom. Definitely not. But I guess my ultimate point here is I think if there's something bothering you, I think open communication is ultimately good. You can have maybe you have a healing conversation, and you know, um, open your heart, and maybe people will do the same.
Yeah, it's correct. I am almost positive that everyone that we talked about is watching this right now. So you said something really funny earlier. You said, I don't know, we should be doing this on a podcast, and
No.
I think it's hilarious. Like it's I really enjoy like the conversation, like for real, like talking to you, and whether it was on the podcast or not, I would still want to have this conversation. But yeah, let's put it on a podcast, man. This is content, so yeah, we're gonna just do it that way.
Yeah, this has been a lot more specific than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so I don't, yeah, that's pretty much all I have here for you, Vinder. Thank you so much for coming down for a sit down and chatting with me about some dangerous topics, some stuff that may get us canceled. I don't know. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on channel. I'll put the links to your YouTube video or to your YouTube channel for anyone that doesn't follow you. I think everyone that follows me follows you as well. But if for any reason, yeah, please check out Villain Theory. He has amazing analysis content, and we don't talk about hate, or there's no hate stuff on any of his videos. This is the only video that we talk about stuff like that. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
um, don't send hate to people if you think you know who this is. Just treat them as they were, because you only have our word in this. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Be kind, and thanks for watching.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah. No, let me tack on that really quick. Yes, please do not send hate to anyone. Please do not guess anyone that we're talking about. I should have said that too. Good job with disclaimers, Vlindaria. That's yeah. I should have done that as a host of this podcast. But yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone that we talked about, I think, are all people that are very passionate about the game Marvel Champions. And even if they're not nice to us, they're nice to several other people in the community, and they help a lot of people in the community. I know for a fact that everyone that we talked about has helped people in the community learn more about the game, enjoy the game more. So, it's just there's always been people that butt heads, and for us talking about them is just kind of sharing our experiences. And Vin Theory advised that we don't do a podcast, but yeah, whatever, we're just doing a podcast. Yeah, but yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.
See you guys.